Comfort for her family, for her friends, but also to remind each of us the power of one individual to bring about change. We are grateful that each of you have joined us today, but I would like to specifically acknowledge the family of Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster, who are here with us today. Also, the members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and their international president who joined us today, Valerie Hollingsworth Baker. U.S. Congressman Nakia Williams, UA System Chancellor Finis St. John, members of the University of Alabama System Board of Trustees, and all of our platform parties, and again, each of our special guests who are here with us this morning. You know, it was just a few weeks ago that we were able to gather to honor Dr. Foster in front of the College of Education building, which now bears her name, Autherine Lucy Hall. It was a remarkable day for the UA community, and it was a notable opportunity for us to pay tribute to Dr. Foster and her courage, her resilience, and the character that she displayed every day. On that day, she did, of course, what a master teacher would do. She held class. And we were all blessed to be the students of her final lecture. Dr. Foster shared her heart for education, for equality, for students, and I think most of all, for loving others. And those are lessons that each of us need to learn and to demonstrate every day as we live our lives. It seems only fitting that my final conversation with Autherine was perhaps the most impactful in our relationship. After the dedication ceremony and all the festivities, we spent a few minutes together saying goodbye. And despite the crowd that was assembled, she sought me out. At that moment, she reached up, she touched my hand, and we began to speak. And she was beaming at me with that hallmark feature of that broad smile that just came so easily to Autherine. And she told me that she loved me. I told her I loved her too. And we're not always blessed to have that opportunity to speak final words of solidarity, of friendship, and I'm grateful for that gift, the gift for authentic and encouraging way that she spoke love into existence with everyone that had the privilege of knowing her and learning from her. Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster was a trailblazer. She lived her life with grace and with compassion. She dared us to do better. She expected us to be better. She changed this campus, she changed this state, and she changed this nation for the better. If you talked with her, you know that she demanded equal opportunity. Not with animosity, but with a bold insistence about what was right, what was noble, what was dignified, what was due to every person. She was an amazing woman, a mother, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, a master teacher, a mentor, and a friend. We will ever and always be changed by just knowing Autherine and the impact that she had on each of us. May we continue her mission and never forget that she was not only the first to break barriers, but she also showed us how to break barriers through loving beyond measure. It has truly been an honor. Roll Tide, Autherine. We love you. At this time, I would like to introduce Pastor A.B. Sutton of Livingstone Temple in Birmingham, Alabama. Reverend.
To this distinguished president, faculty, staff, student body, dais, and to this incredible family, Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster was an incredible woman. She was a woman of tremendous strength, dignity, tenacity, courage. She was a trailblazer. An African-American woman, due to the ugliness of racism, was born in a world of segregation, where African-Americans were promised separate but equal, but it was never equal. Government-sanctioned laws, policies, restricted the progress and advancement of African Americans, and it was enforced with cruelty and violence. It would take people like Thurgood Marshall and Autherine Lucy Foster and so many more to show America that integration was possible. God used her to integrate this extraordinary institution and to set a template for change that would spread across America and have rippling effects around the world. No question about it. Because of the life she lived, because of her boldness and courage, every African American and minority who's graduated from this institution since 1956 owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to her for her courage in opening that door. But she wasn't just a tremendous trailblazer. She was a devoted wife, loving mother. She was someone who left an incredible legacy, a legacy of perseverance and faith. She taught her family, demand the best of yourself and demand the best of others. She taught them how to love and anticipate love in return. She taught them that she is the master teacher, and if she is the master teacher, then she must teach them to love. To love. Where she didn't just teach them to love, she taught all of us to love. The other day, at age 92, she did what we must all do. She stepped beyond the veil from time temporal to time eternal. We're encouraged by the words of the Apostle Paul in his second letter to the Corinthian congregation. He said, if this tent we live in is destroyed, we have another building, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. He begins by acknowledging that life is temporary. He uses the imagery of tents. Tents suggests a temporary dwelling. Life is temporary. It's an image he borrowed from the Bedouin community. It's a transient community, always on the move, putting up tents, taking tents down. But the reality is that over time, those tents with excessive use would show wear and tear. They would fray and come apart at the seams. And it would hasten the inevitable day when those tents would have to be taken down, folded up, and put away. This is how Paul understood life. He said that life is temporary. These bodies are frail, and that death is an inevitability. Death is one of life's unelutables. And the thing about it is, if you understand that, you have to live with that sense of reverence, that sense of regard. That is, you have to live life responsibly. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your days. Life is temporary. I have a good friend who says that we all live with an expiration date. But the blessing is that the Apostle Paul doesn't leave us there. He begins with the reality that life is temporary, but then he gives us something more significant. He says, but the promise of God is a life that is permanent. He shifts in images from tent to building. Building suggesting something sure, something substantial, something stable, something durable. He's saying that God has for us not a tent, but a building. A building not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. He goes on to say, as long as we are in this body, we're actually groaning to be in that body. He sees the transition like the changing of a garment, taking off the mortal and putting on immortality, taking off the corruptible and putting on incorruption. And he said, God is so sure about the life that he is making available to us that he has given us his Spirit as a guarantee. The other day, Autherine Lucy went to take possession of the promises of God. I had a good professor who used to say, I'm a Christian, and that the resurrected Christ put that new body on display. He said it had enough of the old to be recognizable, but it was new. Still had scarred hands and feet, but it could process fish and step through walls. God is promising us a body that is new, a body that can endure the wear and tear of eternity. There was a story told of a man, an attorney was opening up a new office, and he ordered decorations, a florist to develop a beautiful bouquet, a caterer, put together a list of anticipated guests, and everything was falling in place. The day of the event, the caterer was on premise, guests were showing up, decorations were beautiful. But in the place of the beautiful bouquet, this gloomy wreath shows up. And on it were these words, "Sorry for your loss." He was irate. He called the florist. He said, "What in the world is going on? This is a big day for me. I ordered a beautiful bouquet, and I get a gloomy wreath in this place." The florist is significantly apologetic. "I'm so sorry. We will correct it as soon as possible." Then there's that look of shock on the face of the florist. He said, "What is it?" He said, "Across town there's a memorial. And there's this big, beautiful bouquet. And on it are these words, 'Congratulations on your relocation.'" We've gathered here today to say to this extraordinary woman who has touched our lives in the most phenomenal way, congratulations on your relocation.
Good morning. My name is Ibby Dixon. I'm a junior from Sylacauga, Alabama. I'm here along with fellow students to reflect on the legacy of Dr. Foster. As a student studying media and politics, her story is one that I found in my history books. However, for years, her impact has reached beyond the classroom to influence us today. Every student who hears her story learns that legends are found in sacrifice and the willingness to plant seeds of change wherever you are. We are fortunate that Dr. Foster was able to witness her impact, and as UA students, we look forward to nurturing and cultivating the seeds of change she planted in 1956. For inspiring us and empowering us, we thank you, Dr. Foster.
Good morning. My name is Mariah Thomas, a junior from Weaver, Alabama. I am a member of Lucy's Legacy, a living, learning community on campus for women interested in exploring the historical significance and experiences of women of color here at the Capstone. Lucy's Legacy supports our academic and social transition at the University of Alabama. We are all inspired daily by Dr. Foster's pioneering spirit, and we will continue to honor her through our work, community service, and future professional careers. Her light still shines in each of us now, and we will continue to shine through and beyond us for generations to come. I'm honored to represent current and future women of this community as we thank Dr. Foster for beginning her legacy and allowing us to share in it.
Good morning. My name is DeMarcus Joyner, and I'm a 2021 UA engineering graduate and a current student at the University School of Law. Because of Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster, I had the faith to keep pushing through adversity. As she understood that change does not come to anyone that waits, I too felt that way when I successfully ran for president of the University of Alabama Student Government Association. Because of Dr. Foster, many of my dreams, the dreams of others, have become a reality, and we are all thankful for her life and her legacy. All of us owe her a debt of gratitude, and we all should strive to honor her by being advocates for education, equality, and love, just as she was. At this time, we will have another song, and after that, UA alumnus and current president of Miles College, President Bobby Knight, will provide her reflections.
My President Bell, and to the family and friends that are gathered here today, and to these beautiful students, I bring you greetings from the Miles College Board of Trustees, the faculty, staff, and students, and the alumni of Miles College. Most folks know Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster for her history-making decision to attend the University of Alabama Graduate School. What many may not know is that Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster was a 1952 graduate of Miles College in Fairfield, Alabama, with a bachelor's degree in education. Education was indeed her lifelong passion and her gift. However, she herself was the gift to thousands of us, giving us the luxury to yell, "Roll Tide." In 2 Timothy, Paul says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. He also said, let the words of my life be knit with others who are working to cover the world with the tapestry of love in the blessed name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Wasn't that her life? One of courage rather than fear? Didn't she weave a tapestry of love and not hate? In fact, in a 1988 interview with students from UAB, she stated that she was very apprehensive about attending the University of Alabama when white students were chanting, "N-word, go home," and 2468, "We don't want to integrate." But she said it was her dream to get an education. So she courageously moved forward. She proceeded to her goal with the thought in mind to open the door that racism demanded stay closed. I can't express how delighted I was to read that my alma mater was given Autherine Lucy Foster an honorary doctorate. I thought it was an amazing and wonderful gesture, and I felt proud. But then I discovered that Miles College had not given her that honor and recognition, so I was jealous. I decided that we would do one too. So I took it to the Board of Trustees, and they voted unanimously to confer upon her an honorary doctorate. We did so at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, pre-vaccines, on August 19th of 2020. There could not have been more than 10 to 15 people in the Brown Hall auditorium, but the room was full of love and of joy. She was happy to receive the honor, but I think she was happier to receive it from me, a woman and a fellow alum from Alabama. I remember being moved to tears to have the opportunity to talk with and break bread with the woman whose shoulders I stood on. As an alumnus of the University of Alabama, I was always aware of the courageous stand she took in her efforts to pursue her graduate degree. She was then and still remains now my shero. Dr. Lucy Foster merely wanted to continue to pursue her passion. What she didn't know then was that she was opening doors for future generations of students who look like me. How prophetic is it that when she opened doors for me to attend the University of Alabama, that I would go on to become the first woman to serve as president of her alma mater, Miles College. Autherine Lucy Foster was a beautiful woman with a beautiful spirit. She was well-spoken, intelligent, kind, and loving. She is highly regarded and treasured by her Miles College family. And to ensure her legacy continues at Miles, we are establishing the Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster Scholarship for Education majors at Miles College. Earlier, we also presented her family with a resolution of respect from her Miles College family. Like many of you, the last time I saw her was here on this campus at the ribbon cutting for the name of the education building in her honor. She hugged me and held my hand, and in fact, she would not let it go. She told me over and over how proud she was of me, and I shall never forget her reciting this poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson during her comments, "What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of the intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to give of oneself, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with exultation. To know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Dr. Autherine Lucy Foster understood her assignment.
Good morning. Is it still morning? It's a blessing to be here with everyone today, and we thank you so much for coming. To President Bell, the University of Alabama trustees and administration, faculty, staff, students, family, friends, and the University of Alabama fans, hello, I'm Grazia Foster Kungu. And on behalf of my sisters, Angela Foster Dickerson, Crystal Foster, and our entire family, I say thank you for welcoming our family and friends for this opportunity to come together and to reflect on our beloved mother, Autherine Lucy Foster. We've all gathered to remember her, our mother, our teacher, our friend, our muse. She inspired us in ways that are beyond the scope of time that we can dedicate right now. I could go on, and yes, Angela, I could go on, but I won't. I'm just going to take a few moments to reflect and thank God for the amazing life He designed, He guided, He protected, and now He has received it back to Himself. I know that many historians and documentaries and writers have chronicled the events that happened back in 1952 and in 1956, so you're safe. All that's right at your fingertips, so we won't do that now. However, what I can do is share the blessing she was apart from the history books. She was a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, an aunt, a cousin, a church member, a first lady, a teacher, a sorority member, a neighbor, a friend, an absolute stranger. In each of these capacities, she touched virtually all of our lives. Out of all these roles, I will just spend a few minutes reflecting on her role as a mother, a teacher, and my favorite, my muse. Like most women, Autherine Lucy dreamed of being a mother. She not only wanted to be a mother, but I remember her saying she wanted to be a good mother. In her daily efforts to accomplish that desire, Mother did so much. She cared for our health, our clothing, our home. She would ensure that we had breakfast before school, lunch at midday, and supper in the evening. Admittedly, I didn't appreciate the eggs, grits, and sausage and biscuits because Captain Crunch did have a little more twang to it. But nevertheless, we were all made the better for it. One of her parenting philosophy was to never discipline us in public, nor did she drag on or go overboard with necessary correction. When she did have a need to correct, you could never be angry with her because she worked to make sure that you understood why she was saying no. Another philosophy she had was that when she was not able to comply with the request that we had, she explained it. One day, I was making a request for her, and I knew it was a high reach, but I made the request, and she was going through the process of explaining to me why I would not be able to do what I wanted to do. And I said, a simple no would suffice. I met another side of Autherine Lucy that day. And I was a full-fledged adult before I ever used that word again, but never in her presence. As a doting mother, she knew that unlimited resources were not available to us. Nevertheless, she did her absolute best to make sure that we had the fun and cool things that the kids our ages enjoyed. She literally loved making people happy. She was driven to do special things, small and large, to give people the things that they wanted or would make your life a little easier, a little sweeter. Whatever it might be, if it was within her reach or her power, she would want to grant, give, or do it for you. That was her love language. That was her message of love. To give a bit of insight into this, after I graduated from college and I purchased my new car, I went in with the sharp skills that you obtain from going through Dr. Strickland's GBA 490 class. I had my price, I knew it, and I stuck hard and firm. I got the price, but not in the coveted fancy color, that hunter green. You all remember it back in the early 90s. They wanted premium for that. Well, I went home with my champagne and I enjoyed my car. Months later, Mother's time for making a purchase came around. Her budget was better than mine. And she went in and she came out with her hunter green, the exact car I wanted actually, her hunter green Camry. And I went there and I helped with the pricing and everything, and she got a great deal. And on the way home, Mother said, you know, I knew you wanted to have that hunter green car, so I just want you to know whenever you want to drive it, you can drive this car. And I'm sitting there thinking she bought a hunter green car so that I would be able to drive her hunter green car. After we got home, I was able to reflect on that. And to this day, every time I see a hunter green car, I think of that kind of love. Like all parents, we implant with our children not only genetic traits, but also nurtured ones. It was not different with our parents. Mother was a classic soul in fashion with an appreciation for new and interesting trends, and that's evident in my sister, Angela. She was willing to scale a wall and then look down. That's apparent in my younger sister, Crystal. She was in constant pursuit of the perfect pound cake and loved pecans, which I'm still chasing and I grossly overeat. Mother's historical presence was understood in our home, but it was not the essence of it. Our family was. Mother attended every home game to watch her kids in the band and on the football team. She purchased the fundraising items that were to cover our football supplies, our football game supplies, and then when my balances came up short because some of the supplies were eaten, she covered that too. Endowed with the heart of a teacher, she not only cared for her students, but she also saw her children as her number one responsibility to instruct. From an early age, she gently inserted learning moments into our day. Grammatical corrections, you are not permitted to do double subjects. If you said thank you, she responded in French. And she encouraged reading with books at every turn. She laid a strong foundation from an early age for lifelong learning. As an educator, Mother would go to creative lengths to reach her student. I'm just reminded of an opportunity she had to touch a very special young child. She was teaching the second grade that year, and my younger sister was in the second grade. Mother came home and she said, we're going to have someone visit with us for the weekend. Well, you know, my sister and I thought that would be very nice. In walked Mother with one of her students. Now, this second grade student was not reading at level, and she was very reclusive. She was very quiet. She was just not performing. Mother took that entire weekend, and she took the time to give additional lessons and encouragement to the student, but in addition, she had my younger sister show her that someone her age mate could read and could do her additional studies. Well, needless to say, Mother was so proud. By the end of the school year, that young lady not only had turned around, but she'd become a star student. After just 2.5 days in her own personal world, Mother changed the life of a child, just one child that we know of, but how many more we may not know. My last category is my favorite. She's a muse. As we all know, most of us would define a muse as someone or something that inspires. For our family, Mother was a muse. Yes, knowing what she did in 1956 and living to tell the story gave us the realization that God has a plan for our lives. If not, she possibly would not have made it off the campus that very first day. We were meant to be here, and she was meant to be our mother. Her very presence gave you the understanding that life was to be lived and that you have to work towards something. That expectation to do was ingrained in each of us. Other ways she inspired us. Her style of dress was classic, yet she enjoyed the bling and a little bit of swag. She did not want to be left behind the tide, but ahead of the tide or spot on. When iPhones first came out, I was looking at it as something from the Jetsons. Mother said, I want one of those. Mother got one of those. She was the first one in our home, our family, to get an iPhone. Not only was she the first one in our family to get an iPhone, she was the first one in our family to have a personal computer. She was the first one in our family to have a personal laptop. And she did wait until she was in her 80s before she got a sports car. Now, my younger sister was with her, and she wanted a Dodge Charger, and she talked her out of that to the Acura TL that she finally settled on. In her lifetime, she met a FLOTUS, a statesman, First Lady of the United States, statesman, actors, civil rights activists, and dynasty-forming football coaches. But she was always herself. She typically would be frank, yet gracious with you. I have heard some refer to her as an activist. She was determined, she knew what she wanted, and she stood up for what she believed in. But she never did it in a way that made you feel as if you had to fight back. She did it in a way that made you consider what she was saying.